Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Yeah, welcome back.
Today we're going to be getting into some really fascinating psychology stuff.
Yeah.
Whether you realize it or not, this stuff really affects your everyday life.
Yeah, it really does.
How you see the world, how you make decisions, even how other people influence you without you even knowing it.
That's right.
So, we're going to be looking at the 11th edition of Psychology by David Myers and Nathan DeWall.
Yep. Published back in 2015.
A little bit older,
But
but
concepts are timeless.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think getting into this is going to lead to some pretty interesting aha moments for everybody
I think so too.
as we kind of unpack these concepts like perceptual set,
Yeah.
power of conformity,
Uh-huh.
and even those crazy Milgram experiments that really make you question things.
Oh, yeah. Those are really something.
So, these ideas are not just theoretical. They're actually playing out all around you all the time.
All the time.
So let's jump right in with this idea of perceptual set. Okay.
So the book explains it kind of like this. Our brains, they have these filters, right?
Yeah.
And those filters, they're shaped by our past experiences, our beliefs or expectations.
Right.
And they actually affect how we interpret everything.
Everything.
What we see, what we hear, taste, touch, even smell.
It's almost like we're wearing these, invisible glasses that color how we see the world.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And it changes our perception of reality based on, what we think we already know.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Like, think about it this way. If you're walking down a dark street at night, right, and you hear a noise,
Okay.
your perception of that noise is going to be totally different if you're expecting trouble
Right.
versus if you're just, having a nice peaceful walk.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's not just about the raw data that's coming in.
Right.
It's about how our brains make meaning of it
Yeah.
based on what we already believe or expect.
Exactly.
And I think that's where things can get really interesting and even misleading sometimes.
The book actually gives this great example about the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, yeah?
Back in the 70s,
A long time ago.
there were these blurry photos that supposedly showed the monster, right?
Right.
And people were convinced.
Absolutely.
It just fit their idea of what a mythical creature, should look like.
Yeah.
But later researchers determined that it was probably just a floating tree limb.
Yeah, a tree limb.
It's like our brains just want to believe,
Of course.
especially when it's something exciting or mysterious.
Makes sense.
But this whole perceptual set thing, it's not just limited to what we see, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
I bet we could come up with tons of examples
Yeah, we could.
for all the
Right,
senses.
absolutely. Like, there was this one study where researchers, they gave people vinegar-laced beer,
Okay.
but some people were told about the vinegar and some weren't.
Okay.
The
Interesting.
people who didn't know about it actually liked it,
Oh.
but as soon as they were told what was in it, they hated it.
Oh, that's so funny.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So even our sense of taste can be totally tricked.
Totally.
I guess that explains why some people can't stand certain foods just based on, what they think about them.
Yeah, their mental image can totally affect the actual taste.
For sure. And it starts from a really young age, too.
Yeah.
There's this study about McDonald's where researchers gave preschoolers French fries in two different bags.
Okay.
One was plain and one was a McDonald's bag.
Interesting.
And guess what?
What?
The kids totally preferred the fries from the McDonald's bag,
Of course they did.
even though they were the exact same fries.
I love that study.
It's crazy.
It's so powerful.
Branding is powerful, but to see it play out with little kids like that,
Yeah.
who haven't even really been exposed to advertising yet,
Right.
really shows you how much this perceptual set is ingrained in us.
Yeah, we make associations consciously and unconsciously.
Right.
And those associations, they affect our experiences in really surprising ways.
Yeah, this makes me think about all those times that I've walked into a situation
Yeah.
with some preconceived notion,
Uh-huh.
and it just totally colors my perception of what's
Yeah.
happening. Have you ever found yourself doing that?
Oh, yeah, all the time. All the time. Yeah, it's like you're constantly trying to figure out, okay, is this what's really happening or is this just
Right.
what I think is happening?
Yeah.
It's a lot. And then you add in how other people influence us,
Oh, yeah.
and it gets even more complicated.
Well, that's actually a perfect segue to the next thing from the book.
Oh, wow.
This idea of conformity.
Okay.
It's like we have this natural instinct to adjust our behavior
Yeah.
or even our thinking
Hmm.
to kind of match the group we're with.
Right, we're social creatures,
Yeah.
so it makes sense that we're wired to connect,
Yeah.
but it's still crazy to see how easily we can be swayed
Right.
by other people even without realizing it.
Like the book talks about this thing called the chameleon effect.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how you might unconsciously mimic somebody? Like their posture or their expressions,
Oh, yeah, all the time.
or even yawn when they yawn?
Oh, yeah, yawning is the worst.
It's like we're programmed to blend in.
It's like a social dance almost.
Yeah,
We're mirroring each other to build that connection.
right.
It's a way of saying, I get you,
I'm with you. Yeah.
without even saying anything.
But this goes way beyond just mimicking expressions,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
The book talks about how things like obesity or happiness or even sleep patterns can spread through social networks.
Yeah, they call it social contagion,
Oh, wow.
like a ripple effect.
Okay.
If your friends are happy, you're more likely to be happy.
Interesting.
And unfortunately, the same goes for negative stuff,
Oh, no.
like stress or bad habits.
It's kind of scary.
It is a little bit.
It makes you realize how much our environment really shapes us.
Yeah, without us even realizing it.
Yeah. So what about those times when we conform,
Oh,
even when we know the group is wrong?
yeah.
The book talks about this experiment by Solomon Asch
Yeah.
that really shows this.
It's classic.
Yeah.
It really shows how strong that urge to conform can be,
Okay.
even when we know it's wrong.
So, like, picture yourself in a room with other people,
Okay.
and you're asked to do this simple task,
Okay.
like compare the length of lines.
Easy enough.
But here's the thing. Everyone else in the room starts giving the wrong answer,
Oh, no.
and you're the only one who sees it differently.
Okay. I'm already feeling the pressure
Right.
just thinking about it.
So what happens?
Well, in Ash's study, over a third of the people actually conformed
Wow.
and gave the wrong answer.
Really?
They went against what they could clearly see.
Just to fit in?
Yeah, just to avoid standing out.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's like we're so afraid of being different.
That we'll ignore our own logic.
It's powerful stuff.
So Ash's study, it highlights two main reasons why we conform.
Yeah.
One is normative social influence,
Right.
which is basically just wanting to fit in.
Wanting to be liked.
Exactly, not rocking the boat.
Makes sense. We all want to be liked. Of course.
But then there's informational social influence.
Yeah, this one's interesting.
So what's that about?
It's when we're not sure of ourselves or we're not sure about the situation. So we start to think that maybe the group knows more than we do,
Oh, so we just kind of follow along,
even if we have our doubts.
like trusting the wisdom of the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're either conforming because we want to be liked or because we think the group knows something we don't.
basically, yeah.
And this probably explains a lot of what we see happening in the world,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
both good and bad.
Both good and bad.
It's a powerful force.
Absolutely. And it can shape everything from fashion trends to political movements.
Yeah, that's true.
And as we'll see with Milgram, this tendency to obey authority figures,
Okay.
it can have even more significant consequences.
Yeah, it's amazing how that social pressure can really get to you,
Yeah.
even in simple situations.
Right.
But then what happens when that pressure comes from like an authority figure?
Ooh.
That's where we get to those Milgram experiments.
Yeah.
Things get a little creepy.
A little bit, yeah. Milgram studies are definitely controversial.
Yeah.
But they give us a glimpse into how we as humans can be led to do things we never thought we would do.
Right.
If someone in authority tells us to.
Yeah, the setup was pretty straightforward, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
But the results were not.
No, they weren't.
So explain what he was going for with this experiment.
Well, Milgram was really inspired by what happened in the Holocaust.
Okay.
He wanted to understand how ordinary people could participate in such awful acts.
Yeah.
So he designed this experiment where people were told that they were part of a study on learning and memory, and they were the teacher, and they had to deliver electric shocks to a learner every time they got an answer wrong.
Okay, so, but the learner wasn't actually getting shocked.
Right, the learner was in on it.
Okay.
But the teacher didn't know that the shocks were fake, but the teacher thought they were real. And the shocks got stronger and stronger,
Yeah.
and the learner started screaming more and more.
Oh, man. So what happened when the teachers thought they were really hurting someone?
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Most of them kept going.
Really?
Even when the learner was begging them to stop,
Wow.
they obeyed the experimenter and kept giving those shocks.
It's hard to believe.
I know.
It makes you wonder what you would do in that situation.
Right. Would you be able to stand up to the authority figure?
Yeah. Are we all just sheep?
That's a good question.
So did Milgram find anything that influenced how obedient people were?
Oh, yeah, he found a few things.
Okay, like what?
Well, one of the biggest was how close the authority figure was.
So if the experimenter was like right there in the room,
Exactly.
people were more likely to obey.
Way more likely when they could see the experimenter and hear them giving orders.
Makes sense.
But when the experimenter gave instructions over the phone, obedience went way down.
Interesting.
Yeah, like they didn't feel as much pressure
Yeah, like maybe it's easier to say no.
to a voice on the phone.
Yeah, when they're not right there watching you.
Exactly.
So it's not just about blindly following orders.
No, it's more complicated than that.
It's about the whole
The
situation
context. Yeah.
and how legitimate the authority figure seems.
Right. If they seem like they really know what they're doing, people are more likely to listen.
So like if Vilgram had done the experiment in just a random office building instead of Yale.
Yeah, he actually did that.
Oh, he did.
And obedience went down.
So people were less likely to trust someone from a less prestigious place.
Exactly. It's like the setting made a difference.
Wow, Milgram's findings really make you think
Yeah, they do.
about how easy it is to get caught up in a situation,
Especially when you've got someone telling you what to do.
especially when it's someone you see as an authority.
Right, and it makes you think about things like the Holocaust.
Yeah, how could people do such horrible things?
Yes.
It's hard to understand.
Well, this whole idea of our actions shaping our beliefs.
Yeah, reminds me of that other concept from the book, cognitive dissonance.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's like that uneasy feeling you get when your actions don't match your beliefs.
Yeah, like you're lying to yourself.
Right.
And it makes you want to change something to get rid of that feeling.
So in Milgram's experiment, some people might have justified shocking the learner.
But by changing how they felt about him.
Yeah.
Like maybe convincing themselves that he deserved it.
Or that the experiment was so important that it didn't matter if he got hurt.
Yeah, it's easier to change your beliefs than to admit you were wrong.
That's deep.
It is.
So we've covered perceptual set, conformity, obedience, and cognitive dissonance.
That's a lot.
It is a lot to think about.
But the important thing is to be aware of these forces.
Yeah, once you know about them, you can start to see them everywhere.
And you can make better choices.
About who you listen to and how you react in different situations.
Exactly.
Well, that's a wrap for this deep dive.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I know I did. It was fascinating.
Me too.
And I really hope everyone listening learned something that they can use in their own lives.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to check out our online forum.
Yeah, come share your thoughts.
We love hearing from you.
Yeah.
And until next time, keep thinking, keep learning.
And keep questioning everything.
Thanks for listening.